I want to talk a little bit today about trust falling into the universe or the greater plan, or just allowing yourself to trust in the grand orchestration that you might not be able to see. And this goes beyond like something delaying you when you're trying to get somewhere, and then you maybe see an accident on the highway and you're like, maybe I missed that. That could have been me. There are so many things that happen to us all day, every single day, that are a part of this plan and this grand orchestration. And they go from the small all the way to the very big. And a lot of it we're just not aware of. We're living our lives, we're distracted, we've got our plans, our agendas. And then sometimes we are working towards a long-term goal, or we are trying to do something that's really important to us. And it feels like things just keep going wrong, right? I feel like we've all been there, just delay after setback, after rejection, after disappointment. And you're like, this is getting so hard. Why am I even doing this? Or it starts to feel like you're forcing it. And here is what I believe is happening. We as human beings have our thinking minds, we have our plans, our goals, and our agendas. And then our soul or our spiritual self is here with goals and agendas of its own. And your human self cares about things like accomplishments and milestones and days on the calendar, hours and minutes and accomplishments, right? Like your human self is kind of focused and oriented in a direction like that. That's very human. And then your spiritual self counts things more in terms of meaning and experiences and connections and lessons and growth and healing and all of these things. And you can kind of see where these things might conflict. And I've noticed that a lot of times when it feels like there is a setback or a pause, or I'm feeling like I really can't access something that I was working towards or I really want, it is actually the universe or my higher self coming in and trying to get me back on track for why I'm really here. And I believe I'm really here as a soul, going through a human experience that's very important, but I do believe that there is such meaning in every single thing. And if you can allow yourself, when you're feeling frustrated or disappointed or like things aren't going your way, to actually redirect and say, this is actually guidance. What if this delay is spiritual guidance? What if it is divine intervention? It is a divine orchestration. It is almost like fate, right? It's something putting you on your path. And I have come to learn at this point that whenever something like this happens, I actually get excited. Now, I might get frustrated and upset in the moment and have my, human reaction when things don't go your way, right? I might be really unhappy and why is this happening? But eventually I embrace it because I've been through these things long enough to recognize that usually it's these delays or things going wrong or pauses that redirect me towards something that is ultimately meant for me and much better and much more aligned with my system. I'm going to give you an example. This is a big example. I have a lot of small examples, but this is just the one coming to me. So when I was 28 years old, my plan was to go to graduate school for mental health counseling. And I got in, I knew what school I wanted, a holistic program. I was very excited. And it felt like I'd already been waiting so long to do something that really mattered to me after working in business and jobs that just really did not light me up and felt completely uninspiring, and I was craving purpose. And right around when I was supposed to be starting to get ready to go to graduate school, the pandemic hit. And the entire world shut down, and we're all familiar with this. There's no need to go into it. But at the time, I felt so anxious and disappointed that something that I'd already been waiting for so long kept getting pushed off. They were scrambling to figure out how to accommodate, and things got delayed and delayed. I ended up going to school, I think it was about a couple of semesters after when I planned to start, and it started fully virtual. And what actually ended up happening was, now I'm not saying that the pandemic was an orchestration just for me. That's absolutely not what I mean. But in this grand orchestration of this thing that could be perceived in a lot of ways, obviously, as a lot of things that were negative and really harmful to people. Just in my own experience, and only speaking to myself and how this tied into my journey, what actually happened was I was home with my family in New York, and I had so much time with my dad. Now, I've always made time for my dad, had a very close relationship with him. But I mean, for the first time since ever, right? Because he's worked my entire life, we were together every single day, all the time. And with my family dog and other family members, and I got all this time with my dad. And I'm getting a little bit emotional just thinking about it, because at the time I had nothing to do. I was getting unemployment, laid off from a job I'd been working. Graduate school plans were pushed off. And what actually ended up happening was 6 months into starting graduate school, my dad suddenly and unexpectedly died. And I look back on what I thought was such a delay of my plans as maybe the greatest gift I've ever gotten in my life, which was all of this time with my dad, with no distractions, no plans, nothing to do, but just focus on time together. And there was no way for me to know that at the time. And my dad dying ended up impacting me in such a profound and deep way. I was very connected to my spirituality before my dad died. But after he died, the grief, the loss, the pain propelled me into a journey I could have never predicted. It influenced the course of what I gravitated towards studying and dealing with in graduate school. It put me in spaces and in places with people going through experiences that I might not have been attracted to before. It pushed me into studying past lives and hypnotherapy and reading every book I possibly could on reincarnation and proof and evidence. And it pushed me into studying consciousness and getting certified as a hypnotherapist in transpersonal spiritual hypnotherapy, which is so much of what I am doing now. And it gave me this vested interest and purpose in, is there life after death? Is there something greater? And it put such a personal stake into it for me that it actually completely redirected my purpose and how I show up in this world now and what I do for work with clients and people is understanding that having a way to connect with the greater orchestration, with the bigger plan, is the plan. And sometimes we have our minds set on what the plan is, but there's another plan happening that if we can just allow ourselves to just be present in it and maybe not fight every delay, every frustration, and sometimes let it go, magical things can happen and new paths can open up and new opportunities and things you didn't even see coming. All right. If you like this video, please give it a like, a subscribe to my channel. All of your support means the world to me. I am a small business owner trying to gain a presence here and get the word out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you relate to any of this, and I really look forward to seeing you again on my channel soon.